Welcome to Better Health Guy Blogcasts, empowering your better health. And now, here's Scott, your Better Health Guy. The content of this show is for informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or medical condition. Nothing in today's discussion is meant to serve as medical advice or as information to facilitate self-treatment. As always, please discuss any potential health-related decisions with your own personal medical authority.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 56 of the Better Health Guy blogcast series. Today's guest is Wendy Myers, and the topic of the show is detoxification. Wendy Myers is the founder of MyersDetox.com. She is a detox expert, functional diagnostic nutritionist, and NES Bioenergetic Practitioner in Los Angeles, California. She is the #1 bestselling author of Limitless Energy, How to Detox Toxic Metals to End Exhaustion and Chronic Fatigue. She was the host of the recent Heavy Metal Summit with Dr. Christine Schaffner and Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, which is available online. Passionate about the importance of detox to live a long, disease-free life, she is a sought-after speaker appearing on countless summits and podcasts. And now, my interview with Wendy Myers. So Wendy Myers was one of the reasons that I personally pursued functional diagnostic nutrition and that FDN program myself. This is actually the first time that we've had the opportunity to talk live, and so it's an honor for me. She stays incredibly busy. And Wendy, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what drew you into the integrative health field and the focus that you have today on working with clients, improving their health. Did you have some kind of personal experience with your own health that drew you into the passion that you have for others today?
Yes, well, my focus is really on detoxification of heavy metals, and I found that passion through my own health issues and those of my family as well. And I found myself just having had a baby at 37 years old, just feeling terrible, and I wasn't working. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I literally was working all day long on my health because that's only thing I had to do and take care of the baby. And I was eating perfectly. I was taking all the best supplements. I was trying to go to bed every night, though I was up half the night, not having trouble sleeping and night waking. And I was exercising. I mean, I was doing everything right. I was eating organic food, making all the food myself. And I still felt terrible. And I was having emotional issues. I was having bouts of rage, which was completely unlike me. I looked in the mirror and I just didn't recognize myself. And I felt like I had to take action. Something's wrong. I know something's wrong. I was having trouble losing weight. I was exercising 6 to 8 hours a week, going to bed hungry. And I thought if I did this in my 20s, I would have been an Olympic athlete, And I know there's a lot of women that are on this hamster wheel, trying to lose weight and can't. And so for me, I went to the doctor. I found out I had the hormone levels of a menopausal woman, which not really happy to hear that news. And I was 37 years old. She wanted to put me on hormone replacement therapy. And I just thought that's not how I envisioned my life. That's not what I wanted. And I questioned her, and I went on my own and researched on the internet, how do I, address my hormones naturally? How do I get my adrenal glands functioning again, restore hormonal function? And I found a website. Luckily, it was so fast. I found the answers that I was looking for. And I didn't know at the time, but I found a site that does hair mineral analysis and a detoxification program based on that. And I started it, and I found on the hair test I had metal, I had arsenic, I had some other things. And I started the program, and I felt great. I started sleeping better. I started feeling better. And over time, I discovered I had a lot of different metals that were interfering in my thyroid function, my hormone function. My arsenic will prevent weight loss. It prevents fat from coming out of fat cells. And I really found the answer, and something clicked for me. And I was so excited about it. I wanted to share what I was learning with other people, and that's why I started MyersDetox.com.
That's awesome. I 100% agree that detox is really the most important thing we can do to improve our health. I mean, when I started my own journey and working with Dr. Klinghardt through the Lyme and mold kind of journey, Initially, my thought process was, well, we have to kill the bug. And today, my thought process is we really have to detox. And that if we can fix the terrain, the bug is much easier to manage and address.
Yes.
So 100% agree. When we talk about detoxification and toxicity, what role does toxicity play in many of our modern illnesses?
Yeah, so heavy metals and chemicals can be a cause or just exacerbate many different symptoms and diagnoses that people are getting today. So the most notable one is fatigue. That's, most people that are experiencing fatigue today are having mitochondrial dysfunction due to heavy metal toxicity. But infections play a role. There's other things, but I think metal toxicity is a big factor. And then there's brain fog. There is trouble losing weight. There's nausea is a big one, and just generally not feeling well. And many of the health diagnoses that people get, like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disease, there's definitely a metal component contributing and interfering in our metabolic processes in our body that then lead to these diagnoses. But when you go to a medical doctor, even most functional medical doctors are not looking at metals or chemicals as the underlying root cause of their conditions. So they're not going to get to the root cause.
So do you find generally that metals are kind of the primary toxin that your clients are dealing with, or do you also have to deal with the chemicals and the pesticides and all of those other things that we come into contact with on a daily basis?
Oh, the chemicals are a huge problem. I mean, they might even be bigger, but when you take binders, you'll be addressing those toxins as well. You take things like pectosol C or charcoal or other types of binders or zeolites. You do kind of by default, when you're trying to detox metals, we'll get the chemicals also.
I love this. Someone saying the word binders. I'm with my tribe. This is great.
Yeah.
So we talked a little about fatigue and the fact that metals can play a role there. So from your perspective, what are some of the underlying causes of fatigue beyond just metals? And what can we do to get a little bit of gas in the tank for people that are really just struggling to kind of get through their day and need to increase their energy?
Yes. Well, there's a lot of different underlying causes of fatigue. I mean, there's definitely infections. There's EMF, electromagnetic fields from your wireless internet and from your electric smart meter, and many different sources of that. But metals are a big cause. And there's certain metals that I talk about in my book, Limitless Energy, on Amazon, where I've done research in collusion with Dr. Bruce Jones, and he's a doctor in Australia. And we found there's certain metals that poison enzymes that transport nutrients into your mitochondria. And your mitochondria, your little body's powerhouses. And so when you have metals like aluminum, arsenic, tin, thallium, which is found in smog, it's emitted from gasoline and car exhaust, and cesium, when you have these metals, these interfere in your mitochondrial functioning and then your energy production. And I work with thousands of people and given them certain binders and supplements that get rid of these metals. And over time, their energy starts to come back. And it's really uncanny, and it's really a very simple approach. And I call it the mitochondria detox. And they're just a couple of very simple supplements that you take to get rid of these metals so that you can get rid of one of the sources that may be causing chronic fatigue for you.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great. I think fatigue is it probably is the number one thing that I hear from people. Fatigue, and then cognitive issues, memory, those kinds of things are probably two of the more common complaints.
Yeah.
And I agree that detoxification is really critical. I know Dr. Klinghardt has said that the level of aluminum toxicity that someone has is directly correlated to their level of symptomatic presentation from Lyme disease as well. So
Yes.
The more aluminum toxic we are, the more that's going to cause Lyme to affect us in a more significant way.
Yeah.
So this next question I'm excited about. This is getting into the Heavy Metals Summit. So that's coming up starting January 29th. For those people that likely will listen to this even afterwards, it will still be available online. You can go and listen to the lectures and things. So what I'm interested in is, what were some of the takeaways that you learned from the interviews? I mean, fantastic guests. You co-hosted with Dr. Christine Schaffner and Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt. What were some of the things that you learned from interviewing people?
Yeah, I had so much fun with the Heavy Metal Summit because I have my own little take on how to detox the body, but there are so many different methods and supplements and protocols and bioenergetics even that you can use to detox the body. And so we have a whole day devoted to how to detox the body bioenergetically. And so that for me was the most exciting thing because I've been helped tremendously in my own health journey using bioenergetics. And that's really just working in the body's energetic field to address health issues and elicit change as opposed to working in the physical body. If that makes any sense. And so we had about 4 or 5 speakers, including Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, talking about how to detox the body bioenergetically. There's Dr. Doug Phillips talked about using lasers to elicit, detoxification of the body. And Robert Marking, he makes this pendant called the Pure Harmony Pendant, pureharmonyliving.com. And I wear this, I don't ever take it off, but it helps the body to detox the body. And they've done lots of testing to show that it really works. And that's an incredibly interesting talk. And then, of course, Harry Massey, who's the CEO of NES Health.com, NEShealth.com. He talks about using infoceuticals, which are imprinted waters, to facilitate, liver and kidney function and help to detox the body. So that for me is the most interesting and compelling part of the Heavy Metal Summit because I work with thousands of clients and have given lots of people lots of supplements. And there's a lot of people that their body just isn't working well physically. And some people can't even take supplements or they're too sick to detox. And I was really frustrated with how do you work with this population? Like, what do you do with them, with someone that can't even take supplements? And so for me, discovering NES Health and using bioenergetics with my clients has opened this whole other realm of a way to help a population that couldn't otherwise be helped with conventional medicine or functional medicine. And bioenergetics is incredibly effective, and it's an aspect of my Myers Detox Protocol when I'm working with clients, or one of my health practitioners that I've trained is working with clients to facilitate detox in the body. And the results are just incredible. They're fast. It's super easy to use. The protocols are super easy using bioenergetics, and it's relatively inexpensive. And so I've just had incredible results personally and with my family and with my clients. So that to me is the most exciting aspect of the Heavy Metal Summit.
Yeah, I'm excited for that day as well. I mean, a big part of my own journey to getting my health back was using different types of energy medicine, starting from Dr. Klinghardt's system of autonomic response testing, which is a muscle testing based system that has been just phenomenal. But I'm a huge fan of frequency and light and laser and photons and all of those things. So I'm excited to hear some of those as well. Tell me a little more about the necklace that you're wearing there. So that wasn't actually one of the questions I was going to ask you about, but did you actually feel something physically change in your body when you started wearing it? Or
yes, it was crazy. Okay, I'm kind of jaded. I don't say that very.
Me too.
I don't say that easily, but it was kind of fate. I had announced to my email list that I was going to a NES Health bioenergetic training, and a guy named Robert Marking saw that and decided to go to the training himself to meet me. And I walk into the training and I sit down next to him. He's the first person I sat down next to. And then we went to lunch and he said, "Hey, I developed this little, this pendant called the Pure Harmony Pendant. And you seem like you're kind of stressed." I was very, very stressed, high stress state at that time. I had a lot of things going on in my life and not a happy camper. And so he, put the necklace on me. You use it to facilitate like harmonizing your body's bioenergetic field. So you kind of correct how it's functioning or vibrating bioenergetically. So you have an energy field and you have a lot of communication that happens. The majority of the communication in your body happens in your energy field. It doesn't happen. It happens with your neurotransmitters and hormones and things like that. That's the way your body communicates. But those things in your nervous system cannot account for the trillions of things that are happening instantaneously in your body. And so that is accounted for in your body's energy field. But if you have energetic blocks, or you have EMF, or you have metals or emotional trauma or things like that, you're going to have blockages and interference in your body's ability to communicate. So what the pendant does is it kind of corrects your body's vibrational blueprint. And when you do that, you essentially make it so that certain infections, or the vibration at which they're vibrating, or the frequency at which they're vibrating, they can't exist in your body anymore. So energetically, you almost purge different types of infections, but you also bring down your sympathetic nervous system. Your heart rate comes down.
That's huge.
You can actually measure the heart rate variability before and after being harmonized with the pendant. And you feel it instantly. I mean, everyone that's been harmonized by Robert Marking, they feel just like their stress level is just coming down. And so he harmonized me. And within an hour, I felt better than I had felt in a really long time. And there were about 80 people in the room, including Dr. Joe Mercola. He also went to the NES Bioenergetic training. His personal physician, Dr. Lee Cowden, was at the training as well. They got harmonized. 30 other people got harmonized that partook in that, and everyone was just buzzing. There was just this energy in the room that was not mistakable. Yeah, so I had an incredible experience.
So if people are interested in them, is there something they have to do in person to get it harmonized to themselves, or can they work with Robert and get one and try it, or how does that work?
Yeah, so you just go to pureharmonyliving.com, and I don't get any money for going there, or for your buying a pendant, but I just want to give people tips to help them. So you go there and you can harmonize yourself. But I found that working with Robert Marking, I think he's very gifted, and working with him, I think it works better. Just there's a certain percentage of improvement in how well the pendant works, but you can certainly harmonize yourself. I work with him about every 2 weeks.
Is it supposed to do anything to negate some of the effects of the electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic fields that
it does
every day? Okay.
It does. Yeah, it protects you. It protects your body's energetic field from EMF. So I wear it even when I sleep. Because I just don't ever take it off except when I shower.
I know. I saw you mention it somewhere, and I was intrigued. And then at the same time, I've got a bag of about 10 or 12 similar kinds of things I used before. And then when you came out and talked about this one, I was like, oh, I really do want to try it. So
but I assure you, there's a lot of things out there that say they protect from EMF. That's just one thing that this does.
Okay.
It's very, very different. It's not like anything out there on the market.
Awesome. Yeah, that's fun. Sorry for those listening. That was my personal interest sidetrack. Wasn't even planned for us to talk about that. So when people talk about detoxification, they really think about getting rid of the toxins that are within them. And I think what we don't focus on enough is eliminating the incoming sources of toxins. And I think that really should be the first priority. So what are some of the main sources of toxins that are avoidable that we should focus on keeping them from even coming into our bodies?
Yeah, so the biggest source is probably food, unfortunately. So you have to eat. You can't stop eating. So, you just want to get rid of the most obvious sources. So, ahi tuna at sushi is probably bad. But you can still eat the canned tuna, like the skipjack. Those are relatively smaller tuna. It's a different type of tuna. So Vital Choice has an amazing tuna that's mercury-free. Or it's really, really low mercury. As they test all of their fish for mercury, and they've been doing this because their audience wants that, their customers want that. They test it for cesium and for mercury and all this stuff. So Randy Hartnell was a speaker on the Heavy Metal Summit speaking about this very thing. And so that's really interesting. There's a lot of other different sources, like even organic food can have metals. Water is a big source. So improperly filtered drinking water is a big problem. A lot of people are using the little Brita pitcher filters, and they just don't really do a whole lot in regards to metals. But even if you do drink perfectly filtered water, you can still get toxins in your shower water. You can still get chlorine and fluoride and metals. Like in Southern California, everyone has uranium in the water. So I'm finding everyone in Southern California has uranium toxicity, which causes blood sugar issues and other problems and fatigue. And so there's a lot of different sources in the air, food, and water. But no matter what you do to control your environment or use non-toxic shampoos and beauty care products, personal care products, and cleaners, household cleaners, you still are going to have metals and chemicals in your body. It's just impossible to avoid in our environment. So that's why I really advocate adding detoxification supplements and protocols to your health regimen for life. You just make it part of your health regimen, like you do eating good, going to bed early, exercising. It's just part of your regimen.
I agree. We're tribing, we're vibing.
Yes, we are vibing.
In fact, I say that people say, how long do we need to detox? And I said, daily and for the rest of your life. I mean, unfortunately, we just live in a world where there's so many toxins. We're really kind of part of this experiment that humans have never had to deal with all of these sources of toxicity. And so, I think the best thing you can do for your long-term health is to detoxify every single day. So
yes, absolutely.
So on that note, tell us a little bit about the Myers Detox Protocol that you've put together. What are the main components that you look at in working with your clients to help people respond to all of these insults and make us feel healthier?
Yes, well, my goal with the Myers Detox Protocol is really to teach people how to detox their body. That's the main goal. So there's lots of educational materials. There's a video series. We do webinars every month. People get, unlimited email support with their practitioner. But it starts with a hair mineral analysis. And that's a test it's non-invasive. Everybody can do it. I like to start there. It doesn't show us all the metals that people have. There's no perfect metals test. The next best thing is a urine DMSA challenge test, which we do, but not everyone can do that test. So for me, I need to talk to a client. I need to get their health history, what their diagnoses are, and if they're sensitive to sulfur or not, to see if they're even a candidate to do a DMSA urine challenge test. So if they are, great, they can do that at some point on their program. Stool metals testing is great. That tests for cadmium and silver specifically. So that's a limited test, but that's how we find out if they're toxic in cadmium or silver from mercury amalgam fillings or getting a little too happy-pappy with a colloidal silver. And which is great, but some people go overboard with certain supplements. And so we can do that, run that whole gamut of tests, and based on those tests, we develop a customized supplement protocol. I use only the highest quality supplements, a lot of liposomal things that have higher absorption. And I always encourage clients also to do our bioenergetic program in conjunction, because bioenergetics just helps people get them feeling better faster. It helps them have more energy and sleep better. They have better mood. It addresses emotional traumas, which a lot of people can be unaware of that they have, that are causing physical issues, that are causing fatigue, that are causing pain, that are causing a lot of symptoms that they think are physical. And so it's really a well-rounded program. And then of course we recommend detox protocols that people can do, and people can just add things as they're able to or as they have time. But all the teaching material is there if people want to take advantage of everything it has to offer.
So you kind of go through the whole everything from diet to lifestyle, yes, to the detox, obviously, and then to specific kind of more targeted supplementation based on whatever you find in their testing and in your individualized work with them.
Yeah, and it's very individualized. Some people, I tell them to start with the bioenergetic for right now, or some people only want to take 5 supplements, so we do that, or some people want to take 20 or 30 supplements. So we just design it to what works for that person. Everyone's different.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't want to suggest that everyone who has a chronic illness has an underlying emotional component to it, but I would suggest that, or I sometimes joke that there's those people that recognize they have an emotional component to their illness, and there's those people that don't recognize that they have an emotional component to their illness. That
yes,
usually there is some underlying, and that comes a lot from my work with Dr. Klinghardt as well. But we don't realize that it can be something as our need to be a perfectionist, not feeling worthy of wellness, not feeling that we deserve wellness. And so I think those are important areas to explore as well in many chronic conditions. And it sounds
yes,
like you work on that level with people also. Is there, and I know diet is an area that has to be very individualized, but is there a kind of template from which you start in terms of diet that you find most clients do better with high fat or high protein or low carb, or is it just completely all over the board?
Yeah, I focus more on individualization. So I do have a template. I call it the modern paleo diet that I wrote a book on it, which I've yet to publish. But I spent a year researching diet and what works for people, what doesn't. And so I have a template where I have people start, and then they can do food sensitivities testing, or they can do, we have a chart for how to do a food elimination diet to kind of figure out, what works for them and start thinking in that mode. But there's a big fad with the high fat diets and keto diets, and which is great. It works for some people. I cannot do a high fat diet. It just does not work for me. And so everyone's a little bit different genetically in what works for them and what doesn't. So I encourage people that I have like a little template of, it gives them directions on how to discover the diet that works for them individually. So I don't really, I'm not a proponent of any one type of diet. I think it's very individual, and it's based on your genetics also.
It's interesting with higher protein. I generally feel better with higher protein, but those are plant-based proteins like pea and rice and some of those type things. And yet I read more and more that high protein is often bad for some people as well. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on higher protein diets if those proteins are not animal derived?
Well, it just depends on the person. Some people that have compromised kidney function, their kidneys can't process the high protein. And, I think general rule of thumb, you want your diet to be about 15% animal protein. The vegetable proteins, you have to be careful, like the pea proteins. If you have a glutamate sensitivity, pea proteins can cause anxiety. So there's just a lot of different pitfalls that people can find themselves in. But the ultimate thing is you have to experiment and find out what works for your body. I was vegetarian for 18 months and vegan for 6 months, really, destroyed my health doing that. And then I found a paleo diet. I did that. I did Atkins. I did all kinds of stuff. And so now I found a moderate diet, moderate carbs, moderate fat, moderate animal protein works best for me.
And it sounds like detox was really the component that needed to be combined with the diets to really make them work well for you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and the book, I'm working on finishing my book, and I talk about, it's a diet book, but I'm going to be having it focused more on the ideal diet for detoxification. What foods and what type of diet facilitate detox? And I think it would really surprise a lot of people.
Awesome. That sounds great. So let's talk a little more about detox then. What are some of the things that you often, I know it's individualized, but what are some of the things you often recommend for your clients to be able to support and upregulate their detoxification capacity?
Yeah. So first things first, binders. So even if maybe it doesn't upregulate people's detox ability, it helps getting their body detox even when their detox pathways aren't working so hot. And so binders are a great thing for people to take. People don't really react to them. They're kind of a passive way to detox. So Pectosol C, charcoal is good, but not every day. Green clay is fantastic, and there's lots of other ways to use binders. Bentonite clay works also, but I also am a big proponent of coffee enemas. Those are a great way, yes, to get the liver detoxing. It's kind of like a sponge. Like the coffee enema just squeezes out the liver, and the liver is able to dump its toxic contents into the intestines for elimination. So it's not really to clean out the colon, like that people think, oh, it's an enema, it's going to clean out the colon, but it does do that, which is nice. But it's really, the caffeine kind of shocks the liver. It has a hormetic effect where it dilates all the blood vessels and gets that liver making more bile, making more glutathione, and then the toxins get into the bile, and then you can excrete that. And so that's really its function. And that the liver is really a big bottleneck for a lot of people with detoxification. So even if like you're really ill, or you've tried detox and you really are not able to do that, most people can do a coffee enema. Everyone can take a binder, and you can kind of get that process rolling. And so that's where I will tell people to start.
Excellent. I agree. Coffee enemas for me, when I was really struggling with Lyme and mold, they were the only thing I ever tried that significantly reduced my pain and inflammation. I mean, just
Yes.
getting through a day, huge difference, unbelievable.
Yes. Hmm.
So I think, when I talk with people about that and they finally do it, it's funny how many people will come back and say, "Oh yeah, I bought the kit, I bought the coffee." And then I said, "Well, what did you do with it?" "Well, I haven't done anything yet." But then
Yeah.
once they do, they usually come back and say, "Why didn't I do that, 5 years ago?" I mean, they feel like they
Yes.
missed out on something. So
Yes.
I
Well, I
agree.
think it's funny. Like I'll have people that will, no, that's just, I'm never going to do that. So just no. And I understand, but then when I'll finally convince them and they try it and they're like, oh my God, they love it. Because they feel like $1,000,000 after they
Yep.
do them, and they're doing them every day. That's a little bit too much. I'm more a proponent of every other day, a couple times a week is a nice pace. Every day, sometimes people can run into trouble with mineral depletion. But just, you have to do what works for you.
Awesome. So another area that I know you talk a lot about, and I've also talked about this in my talk on the Heavy Metal Summit as well, but it's the importance of minerals in terms of detoxification. So
Mhm.
I think we know that our food is depleted in terms of minerals from what it was many years ago. So maybe you can talk with us a little about minerals, not just so much the macro minerals, which is what most people think about, but trace minerals, and why are they important when we're on a detoxification path?
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, most people today are mineral deficient, and EMF plays a role. Stress, EMF is just another type of stressor on the body that causes the body to lose magnesium and other types of minerals. So, I have people take Oceans Alive. It's a macro mineral, and it's a marine phytoplankton, and it has got macro minerals in it like magnesium and whatnot. And the base of that is a trace mineral complex that has the trace minerals in it. So it gives you all the nutrients your body needs. It's a multi-mineral, multivitamin supplement. And I have never had anyone have a reaction to it. They might not like the taste, but they don't have like a food sensitivity or reaction to it like they can with food-based supplements. That's what I like to use. And I think it's a wonderful way to flood the body with minerals because they're the spark plugs of the body. They're what really gets the body working, the enzymes working, your detoxification pathways working. And it's just a wonderful way to just generally get the metabolism working again. Because if your metabolism has slowed and you're not able to exercise, or you just don't have good circulation, or you're not going in the sun, or there's a lot of different ways that your metabolism can break down. And taking minerals can help get your body working better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's kind of foundational when it comes to detoxification. And surprisingly, most people don't think about it. I really like the Quinton minerals as well. I think
Yes.
you're familiar with those
Yes.
from Dr. Shade and his team. So let's talk a little bit about, let's see, we talked about coffee enemas and how they help the liver. I'm curious about your thoughts on liver flushes. Do you think that those are potentially helpful for people as well? And I've always kind of been an advocate of people really should be working with their doctor or health coach, and maybe not rushing into a liver flush without really knowing what they're doing and having some guidance. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's good to start with coffee enemas. Just kind of start slow. And I've done liver flushes for a while, but yeah, they can be kind of intense for some people. And so I think you have to try different things. I mean, there's definitely different schools of thought out there, because there's the malic acid olive oil flushes, and there's light liver flushes and deep liver flushes. So there's different protocols out there. I think they're good to do on occasion, but if you do coffee enemas on a regular basis, you don't really need to do anything other than that.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
When you're working with clients and supporting detoxification, how common is it for you to also need to detoxify in a sense, or help them reduce their body burden of different pathogens? Does that come up commonly?
Yeah, so I really like to work bioenergetically with people to address pathogens. Yeah, and I find that using NES Health, NES Health is the bioenergetic program that we utilize. I find that really helps strengthen people's immune systems to then address pathogens. And detoxing metals in the body then can help bring down naturally bring down the pathogen levels in people, because a lot of times people will have candida and parasites because the body allows those to overgrow because they clean up metals in the body. They eat metals. But I'll use some things. I use a product that has plant esters in it that's amazing at killing parasites and candida, and it works incredibly well. So that's kind of my go-to. So I'll start there with people, and that's kind of how I work with the pathogens.
I've used that plant ester product as well and liked it.
Yes, it tastes horrible. It's called Catalyst Foundation.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
So tell us, since you mentioned NES Health, for those people that aren't familiar with it, how does it work? How do you interface with their body? Can they be remote and still get scanned if that's what's happening? Just fill us in a little about that.
Yeah, so we only work remotely with clients at myersdetox.com because I want to be able to help people that otherwise can't get treatment. They can't, they don't have functional medical doctors where they are. They're in Egypt or something, and they're just, forget it. They don't have any resources whatsoever there to get alternative medical treatment. And so working with bioenergetically with people, it starts with sending people a scanner. It looks like a little mouse. In the future, they're going to have little thumb scanners you just stick on your phone, and then you can just scan in your phone. That's coming at some point this year. But right now, you get sent a scanner. Then you do a scan, and then you review that scan with your practitioner. And it gives a tremendous amount of information. There's about 15 different screens that have different types of information. There's a screen for your emotional trauma. There's a screen that shows you the energetic blocks on your meridians. There's a screen that shows your immune system functioning. There's a screen that shows all the energetic blocks in your different organs. Because when you have an energetic block on an organ, say your pancreas, for instance, you're going to have an impediment to physical functioning. And when you clear that energetic block, the communication that your body is sending to the pancreas can actually get through, and then you improve the functioning of the pancreas and then your blood sugar levels or whatever problem you're having. And so that's kind of a general idea of how it works. And then you're recommended certain protocols called infoceuticals. They're water that's been imprinted with operating instructions and information that helps to clear energetic blocks and restore function, the physical functioning. And it's uncanny how well it works. And then there's also a device called a My Health. It looks, I have one here. I use mine every single day. It's a little device, looks like a cell phone almost. And that also sends information and operating instructions on energy waves into your body. And the energy medicine, it's really the future of medicine because it's just a simple, elegant way to address issues in the body. And it's really it's what I use when I'm having a health issue. I mean, it's the first thing I use. I do, or if my dog's having an issue, I'll do a scan on him and do a little protocol with them with the My Health or infoceuticals, and they get better. I mean, it just works every time.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of different energetic tools like that. So that's really exciting. So if people are focused on detoxification and they just don't want to take like one more supplement, we talked about coffee enemas can be really good. Are there other devices or tools or interventions that you found that can be helpful in supporting their ability to maintain balance and also detoxify?
Yeah, so I love infrared saunas. And they're not accessible to everyone, but they're expensive if you want to buy one. But they're a really good investment because they work. And so for me, I think it's key to do an infrared sauna on at least three to 5 times a week. And there's places that you can go to. There's franchise chains of infrared saunas places you can go to do them. They have them a lot of acupuncturist office and functional medical doctors' offices also. You can find one. And those are a great thing to do. They're very pleasurable. They help you to sweat out metals and chemicals, but have a ton of other health benefits in addition to that. And gives you beautiful skin, unclogged, really soft, beautiful skin. And those are really my favorite detox strategy. But not everyone can do them if they're really, really ill. Some people kind of struggle with the heat or having a lot of detox reactions. You have to take binders if you're doing an infrared sauna on a regular basis. You have to take binders if you're doing any type of detox protocol. And even if you're doing like a 3-day juice fast, you have to take binders, or you're going to mobilize toxins out of your tissues. are going to float around and just get deposited somewhere else, redistribute it. If you don't take binders, that's why juice fasting really not such a great idea for detoxification purposes, because there's no fiber. You need fiber in vegetables to grab onto metals to detox them. That's what binders are. Like Pectosol C is a fiber. That's all it is. It's not, much better than Metamucil or something, which is a fiber also. But same concept. It grabs onto metals and removes them from the body.
Yeah, I just had Dr. Isaac Elias on the podcast, and we did a whole talk about Pectosol, and it's really interesting, all the things. I mean, even beyond the binding, the way that it helps to reduce biofilms and galectin-3 and inflammation and create a more healthy inflammatory response. I mean, it's a really interesting compound, and had a great discussion with him. I think one important point that you raised about sauna, which I 100% agree with, that I think people really need to think about, is most people think you get in a sauna and you sweat and all this stuff comes out in the sweat, and that's kind of the extent of what happens. And that's true, but the far infrared rays actually can also mobilize toxins in the body. And if you haven't done all of those other foundational things that you talked about, binders, making sure that liver, kidney, lymph, colon, that you're not constipated, that you're excreting things, I think some people can actually make themselves more toxic by doing sauna at the wrong time. And I think the binder comment that you made is really, really important. I don't think people think about that. Oh, if I'm going to do a sauna, I need to be on binders. And I totally agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it helps to reduce detox symptoms. Like a lot of people like, oh, I did the sauna or detox and I feel like I don't feel good. And they think they're getting worse, but they're just not doing it right. They just have to take a binder that'll absorb all the toxins and it reduces detox symptoms. That's the point.
And the other thing sometimes I'll notice with saunas is if people are not supporting their adrenals enough, then they can be somewhat stressed by it. And then certainly people that aren't sweating, sometimes they have to start really slow and kind of work up. I mean, they don't want to stay in for an hour if they're not sweating and just make themselves more stressed. But I have one here at home and I use it regularly. In fact, my plan is to use it after we get done today.
Oh, yeah, good for you.
Yeah, it's a critical tool. So if people are interested in working with you or your team of health coaches, how can they find you? What do they need to do to start that process?
Yes, well, they can go to myersdetox.com, go in our store. We've got, the Myers Detox Protocol is in there for purchase. I don't take new clients, unfortunately. I might be changing that at some point, but right now I don't take new clients. But I have a number of practitioners that I personally trained for 8 months in my protocol that are happy to help you. And we've got about 4 NES practitioners also, if people want to just start doing a bioenergetic program. And we have a veterinarian also that sees animals.
Wow, that's cool, actually. I like that. People are often looking for holistic veterinarians, and it's not an easy thing to find. And interesting, when it comes to the realm of Lyme and a lot of these kinds of conditions, veterinarians often know a lot more about it than human doctors.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's pretty amazing. Or parasites. I mean, they tend to know a lot about parasites.
Yes.
And so it's really interesting. What are some of the key things that you do on a daily basis to support your own health?
Well, I definitely take binders every day. That's really a priority for me. So every morning I wake up and I take binders. I have some in my coffee. I'll take a little bit of my coffee and put the binder in. I have different binders I rotate. So I put a little bit in my coffee and drink that down. I also take BioSil. BioSil is really important for detoxification. Dr. Klinghardt uses it also, and that helps to detox metals that cause fatigue. So it gets rid, it mobilizes from tissue storage sites the aluminum, arsenic, tin, thallium, and cesium. And then you want to take that not at the same time as the Pectosol C, but or binder, but a different time, at least an hour away. And so I do those 2 things very regularly because I was very, very arsenic toxic, and I had a lot of aluminum toxicity because I drank, from soda cans my whole life. I loved Coca-Cola. And so I had a lot of aluminum to detox, and I had a lot of fatigue in the past. And that's a thing of the past now because I've been doing the Pectosol C and BioSil protocol for 2 years now. I've been doing it, and I'm going to continue to do that on a regular basis. And I do the infrared saunas as really key. And I do the NES Health Bioenergetics. I don't miss that program, that protocol, because it's just helped me so much just with my emotional life. I got rid of my back pain. I had lower back pain for 7 years. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on treatment. And I used this My Health device for a week, and my pain is gone. And I was shocked by that. But so that's what my go-to, that I don't miss that. Other things come and go, but I don't miss those things I just mentioned.
Fantastic. It's actually interesting to me that so many of the things that you're doing, I'm also doing. I had my Pectasol yesterday afternoon. I had my 5 drops of BioSil in my water this morning. I'm about to go do my sauna. It's kind of like we came at this from 2 different places and apparently have either met a lot of the same people or just come to similar conclusions. But this has been super fun. I think that your knowledge and experience in the realm of detoxification is really fantastic and incredible. I know that your fatigue is not an issue anymore because I see you all the time on Facebook running around doing all kinds of things to help people at different events and whatnot. So clearly the things that you're talking about have worked and do work to support people's health. And so I'm very grateful that you took the time to be here today to share with people. Another thing that I would say is that you have a phenomenal podcast that if people go to your website, there's, I don't know, you're probably close to 200 shows now or something? Or?
Yes, we're at 225.
225.
Crazy. Yeah. So it's a Live to 110 podcast. And I have another one that we're about to launch on my site called the Supercharged podcast, which is all about bioenergetics. And we explore all different concepts of bioenergetics and different types of detox protocols also, or I'm sorry, not detox, bioenergetic protocols that other people are doing, and just to educate people about that. And I think it's really, really important.
Super fun. Yeah. So I encourage people to check out the podcast. Again, the Heavy Metals Summit is coming up. So it's January 29th to February 5th. You can listen to those talks on the individual days for free. If you want to then get the recordings, you can do that as well and listen to them for as long as you want. That's usually what I do because I usually can't listen to 5 or 6 talks in a day. And so getting the recordings is fantastic. But you have a phenomenal group of people that you've pulled together. I'm really excited to listen to some of them myself. Many of them I've heard several times, and I want to go hear their talk again and see what they're doing that's new. So fantastic job on putting that together. I was honored to be a part of that event as well and share my experience. And so thank you for that invitation, and just thanks for being here and thanks for everything that you're doing.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. To learn more about today's guest, visit MyersDetox.com. That's Myers, MYERS, detox.com. MyersDetox.com. Thanks for your interest in today's show. If you'd like to follow me on Facebook or Twitter, you can find me there as Better Health Guy. To support the show, please visit betterhealthguy.com/donate. If you'd like to be added to my newsletter, visit betterhealthguy.com/newsletters. And this and other shows can be found on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Thanks for listening to this Better Health Guy blogcast with Scott, your Better Health Guy. To check out additional shows and learn more about Scott's personal journey to better health, please visit betterhealthguy.com.